Hi there. The weather has gotten really nice out here. In fact, I went for a hike today to Magnetosphere Falls. Spent a couple hours on that hike, and a few days ago I hiked out to Hedge Creek Falls. So that was only a 20-minute hike. So some really beautiful places around here. Now, I didn't want to just talk about my hikes and the nature around here. What I want to talk about today is that some of you know that I am a truth seeker, which means that I actively engage in research, looking at videos, reading books, trying to find out what is happening on this planet. And there are some things that are a bit scary, and I don't want to be an alarmist. However, I was watching a video a few days ago where this researcher who has been studying the sun for many years now and actually does a daily video update of what's going on with the sun. And there's such a thing as space weather or sun weather. The sun has a huge influence on our planet. And in this video, he was talking about the fact that our planet has a magnetic envelope, if you will, that protects us from the influence, well, some of the major weather that comes from the sun. And you may not be aware of this, but I have a degree in physics. I spent something like 12, 13 years as an engineer, electrical engineer. And so I do have some knowledge around this area. And there are a number of videos about the electric universe, which is a new theory, but it's holding up very well and matching a lot of observational data that people are getting. So what I wanted to talk about is the fact that the Earth has a magnetosphere, and that there are poles, magnetic poles. There's North Pole, South Pole. They're not specifically directly at the North and South Pole. There's the magnetic North Pole, magnetic South Pole. Well, those are moving, but not only that, what's going on is that they are potentially going to flip. In other words, the magnetic field may go to zero at some point. The magnetic field is changing. It's getting smaller. And what happens when the magnetic field goes to zero is that we no longer have that protection, that field that surrounds the Earth. And so therefore cosmic rays would be allowed in. But more importantly, well, maybe not more importantly, but the sun has what are called CMEs, which are coronal mass ejections. There are flares, sunspot activity. There's always a solar wind that is going out away from the sun and impacting the Earth. That's what causes the aurora borealis. So what is happening, and this person by the name of Ben Davidson, he has a video series that he does every day. He does it on a daily basis. It's called Suspicious Observers. And he did a video, I think it was in January, where he was talking about what was going on with the Earth's magnetic field, what was going on with the sun, and his concern that there's activity from the sun that is actually affecting things here on the planet. Let me get to the point before I'm giving a lot of background here, but the point is that back in the 1800s, somewhere around 1850, 1860, there was some activity, maybe it was a coronal mass ejection of some sort, that affected the telegraph lines to the point where the telegraph lines actually caught fire. There were people that were, doing telegraphing, and they got shocked. It was a big deal. And so the fear and the potential is that the sun may have some sort of coronal mass ejection that will send streaming particles, ionized particles, to the Earth, and take out our electrical grid, planet-wide. I mean, there have been isolated incidents of that happening. I mean, it would basically take out all the transformers on the planet. It would be like a giant EMP pulse that would just take out everything. And that the potential is that it may take years, literally years, to repair the electrical grid. So I don't know about you, but I know that I am very reliant on electricity. I mean, my house is heated by electricity. Luckily, I've got a wood stove for heating, but I have an electric stove, and I do all my business work online, the internet, my phone. I mean, we all use electricity. We are dependent on electricity. So what would happen if the electricity went out for weeks, or for months, or God forbid for years? What would you do? How prepared are you? So I have some information on my site. I have a community. It's not a website exactly, it's a social networking site that I've created. And so I invite you to take a look. I'll give you a link to that video, okay, where he talks about it. I mean, he's preparing himself. He's moved to a place where hopefully, there's all kinds of things that can happen based on the activity of the sun. The sun can create earthquakes. It can create space. It can create disastrous weather. There's all kinds of things that the sun can influence on this planet. So I wanted to share that, and hopefully it may have some other influence. There's a lot of stuff that is coming up in this day and age. There's this thing called the event. Some people call it the flash. That this is going to propel us into a new level of consciousness. And so what may happen is that maybe it takes out the electrical grid, and maybe we all become super conscious and we no longer need electricity. I don't know. All I'm saying is that there's information that I think you should be aware of. And so that's part of my supporting the planet in this way, of supporting you by giving you information that I feel is important for us, for our survival, for our well-being. All right, enough from me for today. Thank you for listening.